2 of specific training. And here's what we're going to cover. Now, in our last training, we covered recruiting muscle fibers in the right order, right? So let's get rid of that one. And now what we're focusing on in this training is neuromuscular coordination, maximizing your metabolic efficiency, and familiarizing yourself with your race pace. So let's crack into it. Let's start with neuromuscular coordination. All right, now, here's a little bit of science for you, and I'm going to give you a practical example that you can do right now to just help understand this. So you have a nerve that comes down and attaches to a muscle, but it attaches to a group of muscles, like a group of muscle fibers. So in this picture here, there's a nerve, a motor nerve coming down and attaching to, in this picture, it's 7 muscle fibers there. It's not one, it's always a group. Okay, this is important because it affects the way that your body is going to respond to your training. Now, here's a little example for you, okay? Here's something you can do, a little experiment right now. You can push yourself up. On the left here, you'll see you can go all the way up on your toes, or in this case, just one of your toes, 1 foot up on your toes, all the way up, and then let yourself down really slowly, almost as slow as you can. And what you'll notice is that it's not a smooth motion. You'll notice that it's kind of jerky. It's like that. And the reason is because of motor units. Now, your calves are one of the most powerful set of muscles in your body. And so each nerve innervates about 500 muscle fibers. So that means when a nerve fires, it can only activate all or none of the muscle fibers attached to it. So each time one of the nerves stops firing, like when you're going down, then it's releasing about 500 muscle fibers at a time. So that's why it's like that, okay? Contrast that with the muscles in your eyes or in your finger. You can move your finger really slowly, and it's not that jerky, right? Because each nerve is controlling, maybe like 3 or 5 muscle fibers, not 500, okay? This is important because when you go out for a run, your body doesn't know what order to recruit these fibers in. So in your calf, we already said that like one nerve controls about 500 fibers. Well, how many groups of those do you have? I don't know. Let's say it's 1,000 groups of those. All right. How does your body know which one? Number 1 and number 500, or number 70 and number 12? I don't know. The way it learns which fibers to recruit are going to be the ones that are most efficient, and it'll learn that over time. That's why you have to run at or about your race pace. Then your body is going to learn which fibers to recruit first, and then when those fatigue, which fibers to recruit later in order to maintain your pace. But it's going to get less and less and less and less efficient as you get fatigued. So you want your body to start as efficient as it can be and then recruit in the right order. That's one of the reasons why we do race pace runs. So there's a little bit of the science for you, but I'm going to break this down for you. And this is going to be the most important takeaway on this training here, is the maximizing your metabolic efficiency. So let's start by taking a look at a study here. We like studies, right? So this is from the Journal of Computational Biology. Ooh, fancy. But here's something that they found in marathon runners that's really cool. Okay, we're going to look at this graph, and I'm going to just explain what's going on here for you. And this has to do with what you're using as fuel when you run, sugar or fat. So as your intensity increases across the bottom there, you see the arrow going, as your intensity of exercise goes up, let's take a look at the red here. And that represents how much fat you're burning. So as your intensity goes up, the amount of fat that you use goes down. What that means is that when you're at rest, you're burning much more fat. Or when you're on an easy run, you're burning much more fat. And as the intensity goes up, harder and harder and harder, you burn less and less and less fat. So what's happening in its place? Well, let's take a look at the blue now. The blue represents your carbohydrate or your sugar that you're using for fuel. So as your intensity increases, again, we're going to the right here. Let's take a look at the blue graph. The amount of sugar you use goes up. Makes sense, right? Now, here's something that's really important to look at. Notice where they cross over each other right here. That is a critical point, because once you hit that crossover point, what it means is that you're burning more sugar than you are fat. And that is a recipe for hitting the wall, because eventually you're going to run out of sugar. If you're burning it, right, eventually you're going to run out of it. Now, hitting the wall, it basically means you've run out of stored sugar and you now go back to having to burn fat for fuel. And when you have to burn fat for fuel, it takes a lot more oxygen. And so you have to slow down, right? You need more oxygen per mile, which means you have to slow the F down. And we've all been there, right? When you just feel that crash, it's almost all of a sudden, and your pace just slows dramatically, just like minutes per mile even. This is what happened. So what if you could change that by training? Now take a look at that red circle. What if we can migrate it slightly to the right? And you could take that crossover point and make it happen at a faster pace. 10% faster even. Now, instead of running at 65% of your maximum and having that crossover happen, what if you could run at 75%? Guess what? You'd be running 10% faster and you wouldn't feel any more fatigue, or very slight. You would feel just about as good as you did, and you're not going to hit the wall. So if you can run 10% faster without hitting the wall, that means you can run 10% faster in any race where you would otherwise run out of sugar, which would be any race that's over 90 minutes. If you're well trained, maybe 75 minutes if you're a beginning runner, and up to 2 hours if you're truly the best in the world and genetically gifted and everything. But so if you're running anywhere from 75 minutes up in your race, this is of critical importance to you. Critical importance. Now, I'm going to share with you how to move that circle over to the right. There's 3 ways. Now, I'm going to share a little story with you, and you're going to think this guy's crazy if you haven't heard of him before. This here is Kenny Moore. Now, you might recognize him from a couple of things. Kenny Moore was at the University of Oregon. He was coached by Bill Bowerman. So this center picture here, he authored the book Bowerman, Men of Oregon. And he ran there with Steve Prefontaine. And he was on the Olympic team with Frank Shorter. You see him on the right there at the 72 Olympics with Frank Shorter, which is kind of cool. This picture right here, that's Frank Shorter at the same Olympics. You can see the same bib number he's got, which is kind of cool. But anyway, Kenny Moore, he was a master at this. He was a marathoner, a world-class marathoner. He was also world-class in the 10K and, very good distance runner. Now, he had a workout that he did that was pretty insane by most people's standards. He would go on a 30-mile easy run, okay? You got to be in pretty good shape to do 30 miles easy. But he would do it, and then, guess what? He was just warmed up. He would then get on the track, and he would do something like 6 by 1,000 meters at 10K race pace. Okay, this is an insanely hard workout, but let's look at what he's doing. Let's look at the genius of what he just did. I'm not recommending this workout because, you know what, he could complete his 30-mile run in the time it would take, you or I to complete, whatever, a 20-mile run or less because he was really fast. But what is he doing? When he goes out for a 30-mile run, he's using up all of his sugar. Most of it. He's burning a lot of fat, but even if he goes slow, he's still going to use some sugar. And over 30 miles, you bet that by the time he gets on the track, he's almost out of sugar. And then he runs fast. And what that does is tells his body, hey, we need a lot of sugar right now. And so the stimulus that he gives himself is to tell his body to hold on to that muffafuffin sugar, okay? Because that is advantageous in his race, in the marathon. It's advantageous in your race if you're running 75 minutes or longer. So all of the workouts that I'm going to show you here are going to teach your body to hold on to more sugar earlier. And the way that you do that is by burning more fat earlier on in your race. Now, if you just go out and start running at marathon pace, it's pretty explosive and your body's going to burn almost all sugar. And then you're going to hit the wall. But if when you start running mile 1 and mile 2, you're burning just a little bit, a slow drip of fat in there as well, then the point that you run out of sugar is going to be much further back. And that's how we shift that circle over to the right. Okay, so let's wipe Kenny off of our screen here. Now, the way that you train yourself to conserve sugar are through 3 kinds of workouts. I'm going to share them all with you here. The first one is a glycogen depletion run. Now, you have a certain amount of sugar stored in your body, and it's in a complex form called glycogen, right? And you store it in your muscles and in your liver. It doesn't really matter. But you have it, sugar stored up in your body, about 90 minutes worth of hard aerobic exercise. So if you want to teach your body to, when you run out of it, let's say it this way, if by running out of glycogen, that is a stimulus to your body to hold on to it because it doesn't want to run out of it, then how can we do that? Well, you could do a workout like Kenny Moore did and run 30 miles and then do 6 by 1,000 meters, which is incredibly tough. Or you could cheat a little bit. And the way that you cheat is like this. You start your run already in a lower glycogen state. The way that you do that, how do you lower your glycogen without doing a run? Well, you don't eat. Now, you don't have to go that long without eating, but here's the key. You run in the morning. Because when you wake up in the morning, you have already burnt through a lot of your stored energy throughout the night when you were sleeping. That's why it's called a break fast, a breakfast, right? Because you're breaking a fast when you were sleeping. So the way you can push this even more is by eating an early dinner and then go to bed, sleep, and then wake up and maybe have some water or some electrolytes, but don't have any carbohydrates, and then do your workout. Now, the workout should be moderately hard. And what you're going to do is you're going to run out of sugar much earlier than you otherwise would if you had breakfast. And when you run out, that's the stimulus for your body to hold on to sugar. Now, glycogen depletion runs should only be done 1 or 2 times in the specific cycle. And the reason is because they are tough on your body. When your body runs out of sugar, your immune system goes down and you could get sick or something like that. So you don't want to do this every day or even every week. You want to do it 1 or 2 times. It's a great stimulus for your body to hold on to sugar. Same thing as your long run. Your long run does the same thing and it brings your immune system down. You don't want to do a long run every single day. And if you do, you better be sleeping and doing all kinds of things to keep your immune system up. The glycogen depletion runs done 2 times maximum throughout the 6 weeks of your specific cycle. Okay, now another workout that you can do to get a similar effect is a fast finish long run. Now, the workouts that Kenny Moore did, this was kind of what he was doing. He would do a long run, okay, 30 miles plus 6 by 1,000 is like 35 miles or so, right? He's finishing it really fast. So what you do is whatever your long run is, maybe it's 20 miles, maybe it's 18 miles, maybe 24 miles, I don't know. Whatever your long run is, you start it out slow, and then at the end, you finish it really freaking fast. Now, you can do that 2 ways. You can do the last portion of it at a faster pace, and that's good. But when you get to the very end, you want to go really fast for about 60 to 90 seconds, really fast, almost all out. Now, what you're doing is you're shocking your body. When your glycogen stores are already pretty low, you're going to say, hey, we need to hold on to sugar because next time we do this, I'm going to run really flippin' fast. And I need sugar to do that. So when you do it, you're going to tell your body, hold on to sugar, hold on to it. Fast finish long runs. You can do these as often as you like. Anytime you're doing a long run, you can do a fast finish long run. And I suggest in your specific phase that all of your long runs, no matter what kind of long run it is, that you finish it with about 300 to 600 meters or 300 to 800 meters at the end really fast, really, really fast, uphill if you can. Because running uphill demands more energy and you'll burn through sugar like it's going out of style. So at the end of your run, even if it's an easy run, do the last mile or 2 quicker, or even your last 10K quicker, but then your last 300 to 800 meters really quick, uphill, fast. Okay, third kind of workout that you can do is called an alternation run. Now, this thing is magic. It's so magic. It's a very specific kind of run. I'm going to, again, use the marathon as an example, but you can do any any race, okay? Let's just use marathon as an example. Alternation run. You do your warm up. So I like this. Okay, 20-mile run. Change the numbers to whatever you want. This is just an example. 20-mile run. The first 10 miles are done easy. The second 10 miles, they're done as an alternation run. What an alternation run is here is your marathon pace. Now you're going to alternate running faster, slower, faster, slower, faster, slower, all the way back. You can do it however you want. You want to spend equal time. I like to do half a mile faster, half a mile slower. You can do a mile faster, a mile slower. 800 meters, half a mile works really well. Now, the reason you do this is when you start running faster, you're going to burn more sugar. And so your body's going to get scared, and it's a stimulus for your body to hold on to more sugar. But then you're going to back off the pace a little bit and recover. And you're going to teach your body to recover from a hard effort in a race. And then as soon as you recover a little bit, now it's not too slow, it's just a little bit slower. So let's say your marathon pace is 8 minutes per mile. You may run half a mile at, so instead of at 4 minutes, you may run it in 3:50 or 3:45. And then instead of running the second half in 4 minutes, you may run it at 4:10 or so. You see that? And you're just flip-flopping between the two. And you want to do that for the whole run. And then if you really got a lot in you, the last 600 meters, boom, as fast as you can. Alternation runs are magic. I guarantee, if you've never done them before, I guarantee, if you have never done an alternation run and you're a long-distance runner, during your specific phase, if you add in 1 or 2 high-quality alternation runs. When I say high quality, I mean it's got to be a peak workout, like a long run, like what we just said. If you do it for like 5 miles, you'll get some benefit. But when you do it as one of your peak workouts, like a long run, you are going to see a metabolic benefit that you've never seen before. This is going to change your world, okay? Alternation runs. So between these 3 kinds of runs here, you're really training your body to hold on to sugar, to burn more fat. And what you're going to do is you're going to push hitting the wall way further back, and you're going to train your muscles to fire in an optimal order. So in our first training, we talked about recruiting the muscle fibers. Then we talked, just now, we covered everything else. Here are your take-home points from this. First one is conserve sugar by burning more fat. Now recall that crossover point. If we can move it to a faster pace, that is hugely advantageous. One of the best things you can do in all of your training. Okay, number 2 is make your muscles fire more efficiently. The way that you do that is by running at or close to your race pace frequently. It doesn't have to even be that hard. It should be moderate, but it doesn't have to be a crazy hard workout. Like a race doesn't have to be. You just run at about that race pace, and it teaches the nerves which muscle fibers to recruit. Because your body doesn't, your quad muscle doesn't know if it's lifting boxes or if it's running a marathon. You have to teach it, and you teach it by running at the right pace. Those are the 2 things that you're wanting to accomplish here. Now, this was an awesome training. I hope that you got a lot out of it. Ooh, I got goosebumps again. Look at that. Your take-home points are right here on the screen. And I encourage you to go back and watch this again, because this is really going to make a lot of difference for you. And that concludes our triphasic training. Thank you. I hope that you guys got a lot out of this training. And if you want to keep up with your training, then I invite you to come to our completely free webinar. You can find the link for it down below, and you just sign up and you come attend, and we're going to talk about the cutting edge science, how to structure your training, the mindset behind elite level performance, and lots more. And then after that, or before if you want, you can come join our private Facebook group. Now in this group, you'll find a link below here to join, and in the group we're going to do the same things. We're going to be talking about cutting edge mindset. You're going to get some free trainings, and you're going to get to connect with like-minded people. So I'd love to see you in there. Thank you for watching. See you on the next one.